Levi's had one factory in every state. So they had 50 factories in the United States. And then they had factories in UK and Belgium and South Africa. The ones in Ireland and South Africa are still alive today. In the US, out of those 50 factories and laundries, you have only one in San Antonio, Texas, that's there. And I think, I'm not sure if that one's still open, but one in Canada. In Canada, they had one in every province, from Montreal, Halifax, Ontario, Calgary, Winnipeg, Vancouver. Every province had a factory. And each factory hired people to reflect the demographics of that place. You know, if there were more Italians and less Chinese or whatever, depending on that population, they always tried to match the hiring to match the demographics of the population. But over a period of time came the 70s, because of unions, etc., they had to start reducing production in the US and taking it offshore. And when they went offshore, the huge intellectual property that they had benefited every manufacturer who became a contractor to Levi's. Even today, you look at the factories in Mexico, Guatemala, etc., and even the residuals in the Dominican Republic. Whatever they produced for Levi's jeans, whether it was the platinum label, the red label, the orange label, it was very tiered. And they would start you with the orange label, then move you up to the red label, then move you up to the platinum or silver label, you know. So there was a plan, a full rollout with a roadmap, and then the building up of the business. And you had these relationships that were very healthy. Product didn't move for a few cents. Fabrics, they worked on the fabrics and fabric developments, and most of the fabrics were from Cone and Swift Denim and Avondale in the US. They went out to Mexico. And initially, even the goods that were made in some of the countries in Asia, fabrics went from the US. Later on, it changed, you know. So there is a history of strategic relationships between suppliers and retailers or brands. Where did it break? How did it break? My guess, and I may be wrong, my diagnosis of that situation is when fast fashion and cheap retail came on the scene. You know, whether it was Forever Fashion, Forever 21, Express, or this, there was a proliferation of those stores, right? If you look at denims, Levi started making or selling jeans in the 1850s. They started their first manufacturing in the 1870s. The second oldest jeans company in the US is Lee. Lee started in the 1890s. Then came Britannia, and after that came Wrangler and Jordache, and, you know. And then as you came into the 60s, in 1969 was the opening of Gap. And Gap started because the founder of Gap, what was his name, Fisher, could not find a good pair of jeans, and he was a Levi's distributor. So he decided he was going to make his own jeans, and that was the genesis of Gap. And at the same time, soon after that came, everyone else. DKNY, Donna Karan started producing jeans, and Liz Claiborne started producing jeans. In the early 70s, soon after Gap opened, you are old enough like me to remember Gloria Vanderbilt jeans. And that was the first big label, famous socialite, made by Murjani in Hong Kong.
Jeans designer, Gloria Vanderbilt, who took care of the curves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I remember setting up her factory very long time ago in Sri Lanka with, as a matter of fact, it was a joint venture. A company was called Orit.
Mhm.
And that was the first company to set up a women's fit.